name's Evan. Thank you. It's something we all have to deal with. I have it. You have it. All humans share this. Yes, I'm talking about flatulence. Now, this is something that's very common to humans, but it's also an inherently funny topic. But today I want to talk a little bit about the serious side of flatulence, its environmental impact. Now, humans break wind somewhere between 12 and 25 times each day. That's a lot. And around the world, humans release about 3 billion liters of flatulence. That's also a lot. But when it comes to flatulence, humans don't measure up to the animal kingdom. Termites produce more methane than all of human industry combined. Livestock in New Zealand contributed 50% of that nation's greenhouse gases. Methane is 20 times more destructive to our ozone layer than CO2, meaning that when you release methane and when you drive your car, if you release equal amounts, the methane is doing far more damage. So this is actually a rather serious threat to our environment. In fact, in New Zealand, the situation became so bad they needed to pass a flatulence tax, charging farmers for each head of cattle they owned. The money generated from this tax then went towards research to find ways to deal with cattle and livestock flatulence. And they came up with some very interesting ideas. Now, the first of these is a vaccine. This vaccine has been shown to reduce livestock flatulence by about 8 to 10%. That's not much, but hopefully it'll buy us some time so that we'll be able to develop more holistic and natural solutions of dealing with the problem. One that's already in place in a few farms around the world is where all the animals are placed in a large pasture, and there's a roof over this. So when the animals pass gas, the flatulence can be collected in the roof and burned as a fuel source, even sold. Some farmers are now powering their own farms with their cows' flatulence. That's a pretty amazing idea. Even when you burn methane, you create CO2, but that's trading a greater evil for a lesser evil. And I think it's a pretty good trade. Hopefully, in the future, people will be able to use their innovation to come up with new and even better ways to deal with this. And now, the United States has actually seen the promise in methane burning and have actually offered a monetary incentive to companies that export their products overseas. And using these methods that the United States has developed and that these companies are selling, we've actually managed to down our methane production by about 5% from 1990 to 2001. Hopefully that will only just show a little bit of what we can do in the future to improve the situation and help save our ozone layer. Now, I just told you about the negative side of flatulence, but I want to talk a little bit about the positive side. In some cultures, flatulence is not seen as a negative thing. In fact, breaking wind after a meal is a sign of respect, that you really enjoyed it. That's obviously not universal, but still, I think it shows that flatulence can be integrated into our culture. And it needs to be integrated because then we can see the problem and then we can deal with it, because flatulence is becoming an environmental threat. Humans aren't the only animal that are actually able to communicate using flatulence. Herring were known to communicate using a loud popping sound. It was only recently that scientists realized that this popping sound was actually the herring passing gas. They're the first animal known to communicate using this method. That's pretty incredible. But it's not just in other cultures that flatulence is actually rather prevalent. There's a performer these days by the name of Mr. Methane who creates melodies using only his flatulence. And he's actually rather popular. Now, that shows that flatulence can be integrated. In conclusion, as much as we might dislike it, flatulence is an important phenomenon in our world, and we need to face the challenge of finding ways to harness its energy and make flatulence work for us. Thank you.